Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood. Today we're going to be learning about the ancient Greek math wizard and inventor, Archimedes. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. There are lots of stories of epic ancient battles, but there's one specific legend about Archimedes that's really lit. While he was helping to defend his home city of Syracuse against the Roman navy, he harnessed the power of the sun. The story goes that Archimedes instructed soldiers to polish their bronze shields and line them up along the cliffs to reflect sunlight onto the approaching wooden ships, acting as a sort of death ray that caused the ships to burst into flames. What do you think? Is this an actual fact or just too good to be true? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Today's word is fulcrum. That's F-U-L-C-R-U-M. In mechanics, a fulcrum is the specific pivot point around which a lever turns or balances. If you imagined a playground seesaw, the metal stand in the very middle that holds the board up allows it to rock back and forth. Well, that's the fulcrum. Without this steady, stationary point, you can't generate the leverage needed to lift a heavy object on the other side. The word comes from the Latin fulcere, which means to prop up or to support, and it originally referred to the post on a couch or a bed frame. Now, a fulcrum is incredibly important to understand when discussing Archimedes because he was the master of simple machines and understanding mechanical advantage. He famously boasted about the immense power of using a lever and a fulcrum correctly, claiming that physics could overcome almost any weight if the lever were just long enough. While we use the word today mostly in physics or engineering classes, it can also be used metaphorically to describe a person or thing that plays a central role in an activity or situation. For example, you might say a good goalkeeper is the fulcrum of a soccer team's defense. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Archimedes. Number 1. Archimedes designed a terrifying weapon known as the iron hand or the claw to defend his city. During the siege of Syracuse, Archimedes built a massive crane-like machine equipped with a grappling hook that could literally lift enemy ships out of the water. The device was hidden behind the city walls, and when Roman ships approached, the arm would swing out, drop the hook onto the ship, and a system of pulleys would lift the bow of the ship into the air. This would cause the contents of the ship and the soldiers to slide backward, or it would capsize the vessel entirely before dropping it back down with a violent splash. The psychological impact of the weapon was just as effective as the physical damage it caused to the Roman fleet. The Roman general Marcellus was reportedly so impressed and frustrated by Archimedes that he joked about the mathematician using his ships as ladles to scoop up seawater. The soldiers became so paranoid that if they saw a simple rope or piece of wood appear above the walls of Syracuse, they would flee in terror, convinced Archimedes was about to unleash another machine to snatch them up. Number 2. Archimedes invented a water pump that's still used in industrial machinery and irrigation today. The Archimedes screw is a device that consists of a large screw or helix fitting tightly inside a hollow cylinder or pipe. When the bottom of the screw is placed in water and the handle is turned, the water is trapped in the pockets of the screw and travels upward against gravity until it pours out the top. Originally, this brilliant invention was used to pump water out of the leaking hulls of large ships or to move water from low lying rivers up to irrigation ditches for farming. But perhaps what's most amazing is this ancient technology is still incredibly useful in our modern world thousands of years later. If you've ever seen a chocolate fountain at a wedding or a buffet, that delicious cascading chocolate is being pushed up to the top by an internal Archimedes screw. And it's not just for sweet treats. Because the design doesn't clog easily, it's frequently used in modern wastewater treatment plants to move sludge, and in fish hatcheries to safely transport live fish from one pond to another without injuring them. Number 3. Archimedes figured out how to move a fully loaded ship all by himself. King Hiero II of Syracuse was skeptical of Archimedes' claim that a small force could move a great weight using pulleys and levers, so he challenged the mathematician to prove it. The king loaded a 3-masted merchant ship with a full cargo and many passengers, a weight that usually required a large team of men and oxen to move just an inch. Archimedes set up a complex system of compound pulleys, a collection of ropes and wheels that multiplies force, and attached it to the ship. Archimedes sat far away from the water, comfortably seated on the beach, and simply pulled on the rope with one hand in a smooth, steady motion. To the amazement of the king and any other onlookers, the massive ship began to glide through the water toward him as smoothly as if it were being sailed on the open ocean. This demonstration cemented his reputation not just as a theorist, but a practical engineer who could manipulate the physical world through the power of his mind and, of course, mathematics. Number 4. Archimedes considered his calculation of the volume of a sphere to be his greatest achievement. While he's famous for various machines, Archimedes was really a mathematician at heart. One of his proudest achievements was proving that a sphere inscribed inside a cylinder with the same diameter has exactly 2/3 of the volume and surface area of that cylinder. He was so proud of this geometric proof that he requested a diagram of a sphere inside a cylinder be carved into his tombstone when he passed away. He felt that the purity of this mathematical relationship was far more important than any catapult or lever he could ever build for the king. Years later, the famous Roman orator Cicero went hunting for Archimedes' grave, which had been neglected and overgrown with brush in the century following his death. Cicero actually identified the grave by spotting the carving of a sphere and cylinder peeking out through the thorns and brambles. He ordered the area cleared and cleaned, paying respect to the man who was arguably the greatest mathematical mind of the ancient world, and being sure to honor his wish that he be remembered for this specific discovery. And our 5th and final fun fact for today: Archimedes solved a royal crime and discovered a fundamental law of physics while taking a bath, and then apparently went streaking. The story goes that King Hiero II suspected a goldsmith had stolen some of the gold intended for the sacred crown and replaced it with cheaper silver. But the king didn't want the crown damaged during an investigation. While he was thinking about this problem, Archimedes lowered himself into a full bathtub and noticed the water spilling over the sides. He realized instantly that the volume of water displaced must equal the volume of his body submerged. He was so excited by this revelation that he reportedly ran naked through the streets of Syracuse shouting, "Eureka," which means "I've found it." And this is how he proved the goldsmith's guilt. You see, by submerging the crown and an equal mass of pure gold into water, he saw the crown displaced more water. This proved the crown was less dense and more voluminous than pure gold, confirming that lighter, cheaper silver had indeed been mixed in. Now for some news you can use. Archimedes' Eureka moment actually has implications far beyond the king and his goldsmith. You can use this principle of displacement to help you in the kitchen. When you need to measure some irregular ingredients like cold butter or shortening without making a mess in your measuring cups, try a little displacement. If, for example, a recipe calls for half a cup of butter, you might take a 2-cup liquid measuring cup and fill it with water up to that 1-cup line. Drop your cold chunks of butter into the water until the water level rises to the 1.5-cup line. Because of displacement, you know that you've added exactly half a cup of butter. Then you can just pour out the water and you're left with the perfect amount of fat for your recipe. And the best part is, this displacement method will spare you the pain of having to scrape a greasy mess out of a dry measuring cup. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked about that famous story of the Archimedes death ray. Did he really burn Roman ships using polished bronze mirrors? Well, this one's probably a fallacy. While the story is thrilling, modern experiments, including the TV show Mythbusters and students at MIT, have all shown that it would be incredibly difficult to pull off. To ignite wood, the mirrors would need to be perfectly concave and focused on a single moving point on a bobbing ship for a long time. In reality, the ships would just be moving too much, and the ray would likely only annoy the soldiers with bright lights shining in their eyes, but not burning them. Historians believe the burning legend might actually be a mistranslation regarding Greek fire, a sticky, flammable liquid, or simply an exaggeration of his genius over the centuries. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Archimedes with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.